Hello, thank you for joining me. You're watching Esther from Stampin' Star Creations. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in the UK. Today I'm going to try and recreate this card for you, but using some different colours. I was inspired by a card I saw by a lady on Facebook called Sharon White, and I'll be using some purples and reds today. Using the Climbing Orchid stamp set from Stampin' Up, running my Embossing Buddy all over my shimmer white cardstock. Going in with Versamark first and then with Rich Razzleberry. So this is in order to be able to see where my images are going on the sheet, especially when I'm adding more images which are close together. Just a disclaimer, I did notice that the Versamark did start staining a little bit, so if you're a bit OCD about wanting a very clean Versamark, just be warned. So I decided to do an up and down design rather than going horizontal this time. Before I add the leaves, I add the gold embossing powder, and it doesn't, although you can see the purple a bit coming through, it doesn't actually affect the final heat embossing. When it's heated up, the gold comes through no problem. I heat the front and the back, and this really does help with the cardstock warping, or not making it not warp, shall I say. As you can see, there's the embossing coming through. So after you've laid down the orchids, then I decided to go in with the large leaves. I didn't want a lot of large leaves, I just wanted them to be by the bigger orchid, and then use the smaller ones around the smaller orchids. After I'd done that, I just felt as if there was too many gaps, so I decided just to fill in the gaps a bit more to make it like a fuller border. Just straightening out my cardstock. It does get a bit bendy, but it doesn't take much to straighten that up. The first colour I'm going in with is Rich Razzleberry. Now it looks much paler on here. I'm going in with the aqua pen. It has got a bit of water in it, not too much, but then also not too little. So it does water down that colour, and it dries differently, obviously, from when it's wet. It's just concentrating around the centre of the flower and working my way out. And then the next colour I'm working with is Blackberry Bliss. Again, it doesn't look like a very strong colour at all, because it's been watered down, but I'm carrying on regardless and just trying to merge those colours where they overlap. Once the aqua pen's a bit drier, I go back in and try and add a bit of darker shading to the veins of the flower. Then I'm using Merlot for the very edges of the flowers, and just again merging those colours in with the rest so it looks as if it's blended. Take your time going around the edges. You want to keep in as much as possible. I was a bit worried about how the colours were drying, so I decided to go over with a bit more water to try and blend the colours in even more. Then for the leaves, I thought I'd introduce another colour. So we're going to use Merry Merlot and Cherry Cobbler. So we're using Merry Merlot for the centre of the leaves and for along the centre veins. And then using the Cherry Cobbler to fill the rest of the leaf in. Now the colours might look similar on the video, but like I said, when they dry, you get all sorts of different shades coming through. And that's the complete look with all the flowers and the leaves done. Now, I tried to merge the water. There was water still sitting on the page, and I thought, what do I do? I didn't really want to dry it off with a heat gun, so I dabbed it with a tissue, and I actually quite liked that faded off look that I ended up with. Now the exciting bit where you go in with Bermuda Bay. So I'm concentrating on the finer inner pieces first. I love the contrast of this Bermuda Bay against all those purples and reds. And at this stage I wasn't quite sure how much I wanted to do on the outside. But I thought if I just concentrate on filling in the inside first. And then I ended up going right to the end of the page on the left hand side. I thought I'm so close to the edge, I might as well fill out that space because it's going to look a bit odd towards the bottom half of the page. I didn't want to completely cover the page with Bermuda Bay, so I just keep doing these stroke marks on the right hand side. Now the fun. I use my aqua pen, make sure it's got a good bit of water at the end, and I tap it against my hand to create splatters. I think I first saw this done by Shelley, one of the co-founders of Stampin' Up, on a demonstration, and I was wowed when she did this. I was like, wow, embossing powder sticks to water, that's amazing. And unlike stamps, it just gives a even more random look. You don't know quite where these splatters are going to go or how much is going to land on the page. So again, if you're somebody that likes to be on control, this method might not be great for you. So what the heat gun does is it evaporates the water first before drying the embossing powder. So it kind of takes a little bit longer than it would on Versamark. Bear in mind that this is sped up. And it gives a more bumpy look, but a more maybe realistic splatter look. It just gives a different look than you would get using Versamark ink first, which is a clear sticky ink. And there's the final results with the splatters. I love it. I think it looks, I love the grunginess of the splatters. I'm going to go and mount that on rich Razzleberry in a few moments. But first, just bringing back my first card, as you can see along the edges it's slightly jaggedy and I wanted to create that look again. So I'm getting my snips, opening them up and just running them along the card. Now this card is thick enough to be able to create this look, and just run that blade along the edges. Be careful, my snips are a bit older so they're not as sharp. Here you can see me catching the card, and this is one thing that is prone to doing if you're doing this technique, but I think it adds to the look. Sometimes you might want to create nicks in your card deliberately. So just running my fingers along the edge just to get the worst off. You kind of create a bit of snow on your desk as you're doing this. So I go ahead and stick this down with our multi-purpose glue. And here are the final results. Let me know in the comments below which you prefer, whether you prefer the blue one on the right or the purpley red one on the left. All my videos are available at Stampin' Style Creations, my YouTube channel, and I'm on Facebook, and you can buy these products at my shop at stampinstylecreations.co.uk. Thanks for watching.